8:20. Sheriff's with us. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
Here it is. Second day of May already.
At least I'm not out on Lake Bemidji walking on ice.
Right?
I've done that before on May Day.
I suppose you guys, is this the week or last week, this week, next week, getting the boat ready? How many boats do you guys have? Just one? Two?
No, we've got, I think we've got 4 or 5. We've got a big one for Red Lake. We store that up north.
Gotcha.
We've got a big one down here, and then we've got 2 smaller ones. When I say smaller, they're 16 and a half, 17 foot. They're not small by any means. They're just not as big. And then we've got a couple of puddle jumpers that can get on ponds if we need to get out there. So.
And are you guys in all the boats used on Saturday next week? Opener?
No. We'll have one guy out doing some safety checks. That's his primary job throughout the week.
Oh.
So, and then depending on whether he's working or not, we respond to emergencies appropriately out on lake. So,
I suppose sometimes there's just regular accidents. Not that anybody's doing anything wrong.
Right.
Things happen.
Yep.
Do you know ballpark water temperature yet?
Somebody had told me 49 degrees. But I don't have.
That actually seems warm to me.
Yeah.
The ice just went out
I
a
know.
week ago.
I know. I said the same thing. And who knows what lake that was on? That could have been on a smaller, shallower lake where it's picking up some sun. But I'm sure this rain hasn't popped anything off as far as temperatures climbing yet either. So.
What's going on this week?
This next week is Corrections Officers Appreciation Week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I missed last weekend with you guys, or last Friday with you guys. That week it was Telecommunicators Week. So all of our, what we used to refer to as dispatchers, was an appreciation week for them. Corrections officers next week, and then the following week is Law Enforcement Memorial Week.
Excellent. You'll be busy, huh?
Yes, very.
Were you in Thief River yesterday?
No.
TZD
I was not.
conference? Or?
Nope. I had a prior engagement. I like to go to those conferences. We do meet with those folks from TZD quite regularly. We typically have quarterly meetings, and then we have, and those are local meetings, and then we have regional meetings a couple times a year with those folks, and then Sue keeps in contact with us, and all of our special events, they offer up a bunch of different equipment for us to take too. So, the rollover machines, the seatbelt machines, the driving simulators, those kinds of things. So they're very, very engaged in local communities in northwestern Minnesota. So
how has the start of this year been in regards to TZD?
Yeah.
That is a good question. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. I haven't gotten an update yet. Normally we get those figures in April. But I have not seen them yet. Statewide, we get statewide figures, so it's hard to determine
For our area.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're really good, and they're like, well, we don't want to send them the good news.
We'll
Something tells me that never has happened.
We'll just jinx it for everybody.
Sure. Well, once in a while it goes down or stays.
Yeah, we the goal is what do they call it? 100, less than 100, or I mean, obviously everybody wants zero towards 0 deaths, but the state of Minnesota, we just track above 100, and the goal is to keep getting that number down through engineering, through enforcement, through education, those kinds of things. And so it's important. And we've got some we've got holidays coming up here where there'll be extra enforcement out. We do the whole distracted driving. We do seatbelt. We do speed enforcement, and then obviously every day we do impaired driving enforcement. So, but we end up typically get assistance from the state of Minnesota through its personnel, and we have waves of different events that happen, and so you'll see more law enforcement officers out on the street conducting traffic enforcement, talking to the public, getting them to slow down, getting them to, not drive with the phone.
I'm sure that you hear all sorts of different excuses, but are there still people that don't know Minnesota has a hands-free law?
Yes.
Yes, there's people that don't know that there's a seatbelt. Right. Ignorance is not an offense.
Well, I thought this was a senior person, so I'm not young. So if I notice they're older than me, definitely senior. And I thought maybe he had fallen asleep or something was wrong because we were going real slow and he was looking down. And he wasn't sleeping. He was texting. He was texting. And I was like, oh, my gosh. We finally arrived and the seniors are texting and driving. It's not just the young kids anymore.
We took away my grandmother's license when she was 80. And it was because she had a habit of looking down away when she would drop something.
Oh.
Obviously well before cell phones.
So
went off-road right and hit a field approach and ended up launching. So that's how she ended up getting her.
That's a rough day for Grandma.
Yeah.
And so naturally I was like, well, I can't honk at him, right? So I drove off really fast.
So you didn't get sideswiped?
Yeah. It's evaded the danger and left everybody behind me. And there were like 8 cars behind him. There is no acceptable age. And it's just like everybody but Sheriff has done it.
No, I have done it.
Right?
Yep, yeah. I have.
We didn't want to implicate you like I did on Monday when I said I had a bonfire.
Prior to the hands-free law, I was actually, and I'm going to take full responsibility for this. This was probably a better part of a decade ago now, but I was traveling southbound on Mission Road, and I was on a phone call with a deputy who was describing to me a case, and I was trying to give him advice. I was a supervisor, I was a sergeant.
Okay.
And I'm engrossed in the conversation, and last minute I see the stop sign at Roosevelt Road. Ooh. And I don't have time to completely brake. Thank God nobody was coming either direction, but I ended up taking a ride through the trees. No damage, no injuries, no nothing. I eked out of that, and I told myself never again, and I stopped using the cell phone while I was driving.
There you go. I thought you were going to say I popped my headlights on real quick or by flashers.
That's cheating, Mark.
Acted like I had something going on back here.
No, but it is a distraction. There's just talking on the phone and being engrossed in a conversation can be distracting. You're not providing 100% attention to what you should be doing, and that's, driving a 2 to 10,000, pound missile down the road at 55, 60 miles an hour.
Oh, it's not 55 or 60 for most.
I was being nice.
Well, there have been times where I'm on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, how am I at the Clearwater exit already? I was 20 miles away the last time I remembered.
Yep.
So, yes, remember, brief, or it can wait.
Yep.
What should people be doing to make sure that their boat trailers are ready for next weekend?
Tires, bearings, lights.
Yeah,
Big thing. I'm not going to speak for the DNR. Not that I don't want invasive species. They're the ones that are going to deal with that. But you should really you don't want to be left on the side of the road. You don't want to be leaving your boat. You don't want your boat to go off. Make sure your safety chains are hooked up. If your boat does come off, we don't want it rocketing through a fence or someone's house. Be mindful of that stuff. It's not just a pull it out of the storage or pull it out of your garage or your boat shed or whatever you got and hooking up and going. It's making sure that stuff is going to keep you and your family safe on the trip back and forth to the lake.
Don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago already.
Mm.
It was like the second week of the fishing season.
Yeah.
I'm driving down the road and the windows are up. AC's on. Go figure. It was after fishing opener, so it was warm enough to... I'm like, what in the heck is that noise? Truck, I don't know, a few hundred yards ahead of me. Those wheels were not spinning on that trailer.
Oh.
No, he's dragging them.
One heck of a racket. Yeah. And that trailer is just bouncing like crazy. I'm like, I am not following this thing for very long.
It's going to happen.
I've seen plenty of boats left on the side of the road. And, you just think about the hassle that is. For a few minutes of preventative maintenance where you're checking your stuff out, it can save you hours and hours and hours and lots of expense of having to, and then you're missing out on your fishing too,
right?
So
there are guys and gals that are totally on top of it.
Oh yes,
our finest. They're already at the landing, crack of dawn, boats ready, sandwiches made, all the lines, the poles are rigged up for any situation. Those are the people to go fishing with. Actually, you go catching with them.
Yes. Yeah. I fish.
Yeah, me too. Throw it out there. Yeah, get hooked up with an area guy, just neighbor, whatever. Day of fun. What you got plans this weekend? Tree and stuff,
yeah. Got a speaking engagement tomorrow at First Baptist. Going to be doing some yard work, obviously, and catching up from the rain, much needed rain that we got the last couple days.
I saw someone raking yesterday. There was no grass left in that lawn. Like, what are you doing?
Sure greened up nice though. The ditches, be careful. That's another thing too. I worked last Friday night.
Yeah.
I did tree stuff during the day. I kind of switched my jobs out a little bit, and I worked in the evening with some of the guys, and I was out and about, and I was like, I don't remember this many deer being out at night, but they were in the ditches eating green grass.
Yeah,
and,
they like that green stuff.
Did not want to eat a deer that night, so.
Yes, they are. They're in the backyard last night, a couple of them. Focused on the green grass.
Yeah. Bears, just remember, they're out and about.
Yeah.
There's not a lot for them to eat right now. Small pets, small, domestic animals, small livestock. They will go after those kinds of critters if you're not keeping an eye on them. So just be careful of that. Make sure your garbages are locked up if you don't want to have to come home and pick up a mess, or wake up in the morning and pick up a mess. There's nothing better than waking up to 6 trash bags,
right,
that were supposed to go to the dump that day, and you're now picking them up again.
It sounds like you're speaking from experience.
Yes. We've got a bear in our neighborhood, so.
Little one or a big one?
Not super big, no. 250, 300 pounds.
Still plenty big.
That's plenty big, yeah.
Big to me. Well, hey, you have a good weekend.
You guys as well.